Hey everybody, this is Robert from Black Belt Gaming. I hope you're doing well. I thought I'd make another entry into my Advanced Dungeons & Dragons First Edition series. Today I want to talk a little bit about the Deities and Demigods book and a way that our group back in the 80s, the early 80s, actually used this to play some heroic adventures. Very often I hear that this book gave stats to the gods, and the first thing a lot of players wanted to do was run out and try to kill the gods and take their stuff. That's actually not how my group used this book. We used this book to help us play heroic adventures. So it's really the heroes more than the gods that I wanted to talk about today. So let's take a look here at one of my favorites, going back to, say, the movie Excalibur, which was a great movie that helped influence my gaming. And we have King Arthur's statistics here. Strength, intelligence, wisdom, dexterity, constitution, charisma. How many 18s do we see there? 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 19. So only one category, one ability score of dexterity is less than 18. Following the rules and how you would roll for characters, that would be certainly an amazing feat to be able to roll ability scores like that. And how you would get a 19, I have no idea. Well, another favorite here from the King Arthur legends, Sir Lancelot, starts out with a strength of 19. Now, I know there are other copies of this book. This might say 1800 strength. But in this copy, 19. And then we have 14, 13, but then 18, 18, 18. So still just incredible ability scores. So the old Clash of the Titans movie. I went to go see that in a little rundown theater downtown with my family back in the early 80s. Clash of the Titans, the story of Perseus. And you know, Perseus had stats in this book. It was exciting to see. So here we go. Here we go. Strength. What do we have? 4 18s and a 12 and a 14. How am I supposed to roll that for my characters? How many characters would I have to roll to get anything close to these numbers? And that's where I wanted to start. Heroes. How can you play heroic first edition AD&D? So that's a problem I wanted to solve as a kid. I wanted to be able to play heroes like King Arthur and Perseus or Theseus, or right over here, Odysseus. What do we have again? 1800, 18, 18, so 3 18s. A 10, 16, and a 17. How are we supposed to get those scores? Well, I just decided, hey guys, why don't we take a D6? And I've got my little cup of dice here. And I've got other dice than this, but why don't we take a D6? And when we want to create heroic characters, why don't we roll this D6, and that's how many 18s we're going to get for our hero. So I might roll the D6, and I got a 5. My character is going to have 5 18s. So what about the other scores? What am I going to do about that? Well, they seem to range from 10 up to 19, because some of the other heroes have 19s. So why don't we take a D10? And I've got one ability score that's not an 18 for this awesome hero. If I roll a 1, that's going to be an 11, and then a 2 is a 12. Up to a 9 is going to give me that 19. If I roll a 0, it's going to be a 0, and the score is just going to stay 10. So we're going to have a minimum of 10. So we roll that one, and we get the 0. So I've got 5 18s, and one ability score is just a 10. So that's how my friends and I decided, because we often played these one-shot adventures, or we might play the same adventure over a few weekends, but we didn't have these long campaigns. That's just not the way we played. We didn't have time for that. So we typically had a character that we might play in multiple adventures and level up, but long stories of the same, along the same, campaign setting. We didn't play AD&D like that. It was very dungeon crawl. Almost each one was just a one-shot. Unless we didn't finish, then we might come back to that one the next week. So what about for our heroes? Well, we could make some heroes and play them from time to time in different adventures. And that was the way that we thought we could get some ability scores that would be good enough to be a hero. So another thing about heroes that you saw, all of these heroes in this book were human and from legends, and so we tended to play that way too. We didn't have dwarf heroes and elf heroes. We had human heroes. And I saw here in the book, because I sort of led this little movement among me and my friends, how they were getting classes. So here's Merlin, right? Merlin has Druid of 14th level, Illusionist, and Magic User. So he's got 3 classes. He's got Psionics too. So how is that supposed to work? According to the book, humans needed to be one class, or they might be able to dual class. But having 3 classes, how's that supposed to work? A lot of the other characters, say like Lancelot here being a 20th level paladin, that's not so difficult to figure out. I mean, just a single class character. But you do see a lot of like paladin bard or fighter bard. Let me go to one that really helped me put this together. Probably, I think it was in the Japanese mythology. As you know, I am living in Japan, and I teach here and have always loved Japanese culture and history, and I was very interested as a kid about this entry into the Deities and Demigods book about the Japanese mythos. So I really liked looking at this character, Raiko, this hero who we go down, and he has 18th level ranger, 12th level assassin, and 15th level monk. By the rules, how's he supposed to do that? It was frustrating that we couldn't be heroes in the same way. But let's take a look at his ability scores. Again, we have 18, 18, 11, 19, 18, 18. So according to my little system here, we could do that. We could end up with those same ability scores. But the classes, how could we operate that? Well, all the way back in the early 80s, I thought, why don't we just put our experience points into different classes? We'll say a maximum of 3. And you can be single class, or you can do whatever you want with your experience points. So if you had a character and you wanted to start out as a ranger, and then say you wanted to throw some experience points into being a monk, well, you could start becoming a first level monk, and you could freely mix those abilities with your character. If you wanted to throw some more points into assassin, you could do that too. So it was, I guess you could say it was sort of like people were doing in 3rd edition Dungeons and Dragons, with that kind of freedom of multiclassing, where you could take a level of this and a level of that. But, that had a unified advancement table where, the experience points were set and, everything kind of stacked. We didn't play like that. We didn't have rules for that. So let's say you were a higher level ranger and then you threw some levels into monk. You would get some hit points. You just roll for hit points like normal. So those would stack together. But your attack and saves and all of that would just be the best of whatever class you were the highest in. So that was kind of the incentive to go high in a particular class, because that was going to be kind of the limit, that you had for how well you could attack and how well your saves were. But you did get some help from hit points and abilities from other classes. So that was how we decided to work that. Just sometimes when we made a hero, we would come up with an experience point total and just say, all right, that's your budget. Throw those experience points into all the different classes that you want to. I think it was a maximum of 3, because that was sort of our model coming from here. So you could put it all into one class if you wanted to, or you could spread it out and kind of have a character with a lot of different abilities. So I just thought this was fascinating that he had all these hit points. His armor class was so great, -1. That's actually, and if you guys are modern players watching this video, that looks -1 armor class. That's a really good armor class. The best one, of course, is -10. But number of attacks 2, 3 if he's using his hands, and with his bare hands, he can do 6 to 24 points of damage with his bare hands. So it was just very inspiring to read about some of these different heroes. And you could also read about perhaps some of the special magic items they have, or special things that they did. And, very often you would see, here's another one here, he has a dexterity of 19. So once again, we explained how we would do that. But we would try to get a collection of magical items and things that, not a huge haul of items, but just sort of a collection of things, usually 1 or 2 things special to our hero that kind of fit the hero's theme. So whatever type of hero that may be. So if the hero really wanted an intelligent magic sword, and that was kind of part of your hero's story, then you could do that. Or if they had a special hammer, or a special helmet, or some kind of special robe or staff, it would just depend upon what you wanted to do. The options were only limited by your imagination, and try to fit it together with just some of the basics from the rules. So going back to the Greek mythology, here we have Jason, Jason and the Argonauts. I remember watching that movie. Jason here is a 16th level ranger, 4th level thief, 7th level bard. There were lots of these bard levels mixed in, it seemed. So that was about, I think in our gaming group, none of us ever played a bard. No one ever played a bard. And I think maybe because the rules were kind of weird to become a bard. But if you wanted to make a hero and take some levels of bard, that seemed very appropriate, because evidently a lot of heroes in this book did do that. But hit points, he's sitting there at 129. I think what we used to do for the hit points was we wanted them to be at least average. We didn't want any below average rolls for hit points. So if I took a level in fighter and I was going to roll my d10, if I rolled less than half, so this is less than half, I rolled a 4, then I can't remember if we did a re-roll or if we just took half. It was one of those. I just remember half being the cutoff point. So I might roll again. And there I got a 9. And so I was going to get those above average hit points because heroes are definitely above the average. And that was about that. So we didn't take maximum hit points each level or anything like that, but we did have above average hit points every time we rolled. So awesome ability scores, above average hit points, kind of selecting magical items and things that might fit our character, or if we played in a particular setting where magic wasn't necessarily, it wasn't necessarily a high magic thing, then we might have none. We might just have regular equipment, but be just an incredibly outstanding individual. So I'm jumping outside the Deities and Demigods book for a second. Here we have absolutely one of my favorite characters, Conan. Amazingly happy to find his stats in the adventure. And we've got him over here with his fighter, thief, and he's got these interesting things called luck points. This came along a little later after we'd kind of made up the way to use this book to create heroes, but this is another way to do it, and I might cover this kind of stuff in a different video. But again, we kind of have Conan made in the same way. We've got 18, 18, 18. So 3 18s, a 17, 14, and a 10. Once again, 10 seems to be the lowest score. I totally disagree with this. 1890 for Conan? No way. He's going to be 1800. Just my opinion. I'm a big fan of Conan. So anyway, once again, making heroes. In this particular write-up, he's got some secondary skills and weapon proficiencies, but he's got leather armor, broadsword, and a dagger. So where are his boatload of magical items? He doesn't have any. And so sometimes we would play our heroes and they would, like I said, be those outstanding individuals in a rather non-magical world where magic might be very rare and special. And then if they had a magical item, it might be a very special thing, not just a +1 this and a potion of that. Not that kind of magic. We kind of had the magical items be almost like artifacts. So that's going to get into a whole nother topic of using artifacts in your gameplay. But anyway, I will sort of end it there. Just wanted to let you know how the Deities and Demigods book gave us tons of inspiration for making our characters and what kind of settings we wanted to play in. Did we want to play in the ancient Greek world, and did we want to play in the Japan setting? It was a lot of fun to do those things, and very often we played in sort of an Arthurian setting, with the Knights of the Round Table. That seemed to be one of the best fits with the AD&D rules for us. So, you may see here in this particular copy we have the Cthulhu mythos, and this is a book I found after I moved to Japan. I never had this copy. Anyway, that's another video. Take care, everybody. I'll catch you later. Just wanted to talk about how we played heroes back in the old days, because very often first edition AD&D is not associated with powerful heroes accomplishing mighty deeds, because you were often scared for your life, had low hit points, and were just struggling to survive through these dungeon crawls. But when we wanted to play heroes, that's how me and my friends did it, and it was a lot of fun. Take care, and I'll catch you later.